Welcome to the NerdyCast. This is Nick.
And this is Tim.
And we have just arrived in Denver, and we're really excited to talk about the KC PitStop, some of the things that we learned in Kansas City, talking to some people, doing some interviews, talking to some great teachers, administrators, and overall people involved in education, and some of the hilarious things that we saw on Twitter on the way here, some of the amazing things that we listened to on the radio on the way here. Central Kansas has got some pretty hardcore DJs doing some wonderful literary analysis for those of us on the road on a Sunday afternoon. So
I feel enlightened.
Yeah, I feel really good to kind of pick this up. So I'm just going to start off talking about my overall thoughts. I posted my second journal on the edutour2013.com site, so if you want to take a look and see more in depth what I thought about the whole Kansas City experience. But in particular, I was really just happy with the people that I met in Kansas City. They were just cool people. I guess I wasn't expecting not cool people. I mean, you have Kyle Pace,
which is pretty cool.
I mean, but I just figured that would be the ultimate of cool. But he's kind of the bottom of the coolness compared to all the other people I met.
Yeah, there were some great people there. We had a lot of people that showed up from the Google event, which was kind of neat. Mm-hmm. And then we had some people that we had people that drove quite a few miles, hours to come meet up with us, and it was just neat to connect and meet new people and kind of hear where people are in the school year, and just kind of everybody just kind of come together and get excited for this new school year and all the things we're going to do.
Yeah, special shout out to my new BFF forever, Laura G out there, who was just super gracious and nice. Always been awesome on Twitter, but was just fun and silly, and it was just good to have conversations with people that are equally silly and are just there to have a good time and talk education and bring up great questions. And I remember we talked about teacher evaluations, and we talked about administrators and what they're looking for from their teachers, and it was so cool to be able to talk to people I've never talked to before and really hear their opinions on things that are so different, because Kansas City's education system is so different from Michigan's. So there definitely is a learning experience there, because we're all not playing by the same rules in the state. Does that make sense, Tim?
Yeah. I mean, there's kind of a beauty in that, where education can sometimes be tailored to what's needed, but then we also are all fighting some of the big federal things we have coming down to us. But yeah, it's there's pros and cons. It's nice that we can really adjust how we need education to be for our states and for our schools and for our kids. But then at the same time, you get frustrated because you see some great things happening or resources allocated in one area, and you just wish that all kids were being exposed and had the same things across the board.
Yeah, we had a great cross-section of experience, too. We had a young lady who was going to be starting her third year of teaching, and we had people with well over 20 years of experience, 30 years of experience there and joining us. So it was really great to kind of get that cross-section of experience to really, provide a different perspective on education and things that are going on. So I just want to say thank you to the Cashew for hosting a bunch of teachers coming out. Special shout out to Evernote and LiveScribe for making this happen. Mm-hmm. And also shout outs to Simple K-12 and ScanSnap and Doxy.
Thank you to Kyle Pace for organizing that pit stop. He went through a lot of work, and he got people rallied up, and thanks to everyone that showed up.
Yeah, it was a really great event, and before the pit stop, actually, we had an opportunity to walk around Kansas City. Sadly, we did not see the gigantic shuttlecock.
I know.
Repeat, shuttlecock that everyone was talking about in Kansas City. It seemed to be out of the way from what everyone was telling us, but so many different people were telling us to go and see this gigantic shuttlecock, and I just did not realize that badminton was so huge in Kansas City. I didn't realize it.
I think badminton is right above barbecue, maybe.
Yeah. God, speaking of barbecue, I'm gonna say
it needs to be said.
It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. We might lose followers. We might be banned.
We might get hate mail.
We might. I was underwhelmed. Now, to quote a fabulous movie, 10 Things I Hate About You, you can be overwhelmed, you can be underwhelmed, but can you be whelmed? And I wasn't even whelmed. I was underwhelmed with the barbecue I had at Oklahoma Joe's.
Yeah, which is everyone talks about how that's the best barbecue. Anthony Bourdain said it was the best barbecue in the world
in 2009.
2009, and I have a lot of respect for Anthony Bourdain.
So do I.
He knows his stuff. He's got a refined palate, and I think maybe some things have changed in the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years. I'm only counting my fingers. 9, 10, 11. Yes, 4 years.
Well, I tell you, we waited in line. We had dinner at 7. So I don't know if going earlier in the morning or afternoon impacts that. Mm-hmm. We both had the cowboy dinner, which had the sausage. It had 2 ribs and some brisket and on some toast. And I had a side of potato salad and coleslaw. And the coleslaw was good. I did like it. Potato salad was good. Mm-hmm. I think the sausage might have been the best part of the meal. It was nice and spicy. I tried their different sauces. The sauce wasn't that impressive. I had the hot sauce that was good, but I don't know. Maybe it was everyone talked about how awesome it was. It was no way it could live up to it. But I'm sorry, St. Louis has Kansas City beat in the barbecue.
I have to agree. We ate at Pappy's Smokehouse, which I think we already raved about, and it was better. Now, to be fair, we were at Pappy's before it opened, so our food came fresh out, and maybe our barbecue has been chilling for a while at Smokehouse Joe's. So
Oklahoma Joe's. See, it's not even worth remembering the name. I don't know. So Oklahoma Joe's, if you want to invite us back out, to come in the morning and have like fresh barbecue, I'd be happy to give it another whirl. But I got the cowboy platter because I wanted to try a little bit of everything. Yeah. And I don't know, the dry rub on the ribs just didn't do it for me. And I'm a barbecue guy. I love my food, and you can follow our eats on our Evernote food journals. They're on our website. I documented it, took pictures. Ooh, I did have the red cream soda from Barks.
Yeah,
which it was good. I didn't know it existed. That was kind of nice. It kind of reminded me of some Faygo Red Pop a little bit. For the Michigan people, I know you don't know what that is, but
idea.
Us Michigan people know what I'm talking about. So Faygo shout out at Faygo. I love those guys. So I don't know. Like that part was kind of disappointing. I remember we finally got back and I said I could have gone like almost anywhere else.
And then I've since expressed my disappointment to a few people that I know won't throw rocks at me.
Yeah.
And they have mentioned other places in Kansas City we should have gone.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Kansas City barbecue is bad.
It's been on the Travel Channel 4 times. You would expect for it to be. I mean,
but our experience, which is all we have to base it on, was underwhelming.
Yeah, I would agree. Changing pace here because there's no really good segue. I had an opportunity to really interview some interesting people in Kansas City because we got to walk around, got to the mall, Crown Plaza. I don't know if it's called the mall. Well, we saw the mall in Kansas. Look at our pictures for that; it'll totally make sense. I believe Robin Sparkles was there performing.
She had a performance. She was singing Sandcastles
Crown.
in Sand.
What's it called? Crown Plaza? Where were we?
I think it was called Crown Plaza.
Oh, it's the Crown thing. It's where the aquarium is and the Hallmark thing
Legoland
is,
and all that stuff.
Crayola. No Legoland. No.
Yeah, there's like a Lego thing. It was next to the aquarium. We didn't go into it.
Oh, okay.
It was like Lego World or something.
Gotcha.
Not Legoland. Like
Lego something. Okay. We went there and they had a Curious George was there, and so they had all these parents, all these kids, and people were there. So it was like a great opportunity to talk to people, and it was really cool to listen to people talk about education and what they loved most about it. And I don't go too big into detail because I got my notes of my live scribe book there, so I really can't read it because I just recorded everything they said. But it was cool because people, felt comfortable talking, which was great. You always worry that people don't want to talk. But it was cool to hear them say things about what makes a good teacher, and passion was such an answer that was repeated over and over and over again, even from the 13 and 11-year-old I interviewed.
Yeah.
The parents were totally cool with that, and they said, I just want a teacher that cares and challenges me. The one kid said, I want to be challenged.
Yeah.
That was awesome to hear that. So from that standpoint, Kansas City was really cool. I got to meet some really neat people. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about Kansas City, the city itself?
The city itself? I liked it. I thought Kansas City was neat. That was the first time I had been. Mm-hmm. We didn't get a chance to go see everything, but we did have, a little interaction around our area and stuff. But it was nice. The people were really nice. Mm-hmm. The food was good for the most part.
With the jazz area, 18th and Vine, we saw the Negro League Hall of Fame.
The museum.
That was really cool.
That was really neat.
that was neat. It was interesting. I mean, Detroit used to have a Negro League team, the Stars, so I was kind of familiar with that. So it was just kind of neat to go and just see a bit of history that you just don't get anywhere else. I mean, you really have to search it out, and so that was really nice. We shouldn't have really walked 3 miles round trip in our sandals.
Yeah,
we paid for that.
I'm not sure why we decided to do that. It seemed, like you said, it looked a lot closer on the map than it really was.
It was not. Google has really been letting me down in the maps department. My geography teacher would be very upset. So we jumped in our car this morning, 7:30, got some gas, headed out, and we've been listening to the radio the whole way, and we've been able to get pretty decent signals all the way through. We haven't had to revert to Pandora or anything.
Yeah.
And we found quite possibly the best radio DJ, maybe in all of Kansas.
Yeah.
We didn't listen to all of them, but in my opinion, he is phenomenal. And Tim, what was his name again?
Father Mike Scully, but he just goes by Father Mike, which is how you know he's hip.
Yes. And what was the program called again? Do you remember?
Message from the Top.
Message at the top. Message at the top. And what he seemed to do is, as we get text messages during our live show, which is how you roll, and Kelly and Michelle that are picking us up for dinner are on their way.
Excellent.
So what he does in the show, he takes the top 10 most popular songs from the area, and I believe it was...
we started with...
No. It's the city that we were in.
It was Hayes, Nebraska.
What? Kansas?
I mean, Kansas.
Nebraska? I don't know. Hayes, Kansas, and the top 10 songs. So he picks a theme that's all of these songs are going to tie into, and this theme was the past.
It was remembering your past, but focusing on the future.
Yes.
Or moving into the future.
And so he took whatever the top 10 songs were, read the lyrics before he would even play them, explain from a literary standpoint how they apply, and then pick some songs for the past hits that would also apply in sets of 3. So you'd have the current one and then 2 other ones. For example, there was a current hit, which I believe was Selena Gomez. Is new.
No, the first one he really dug into was Imagine Dragons Radioactive, and he talked all about that one. And then it rolled into some Selena Gomez.
It rolled into Selena Gomez, but the Selena Gomez threesome was Selena, Avril, and Sheryl Crow. And Sheryl Crow. And about how they all were connected to Lost. And like when he said Avril Lavigne's going to be playing, we listed 3 Avril Lavigne songs that would be perfect for it, and it was none of them.
Yeah.
I thought it was Skater Boy.
We were hoping it was Skater Boy.
We were hoping it was Skater Boy.
We can't wait to hear how that relates to our life.
But the worst part is that he did Robin Thicke's
Blurred Lines,
newest song, which is, and Justin Timberlake's, which are downright filthy.
Yeah.
And still made it into completely acceptable, even though he admitted, I don't necessarily agree with all of these lyrics.
Well, he read the lyrics from the one Justin Timberlake song were about, some lovemaking all night long, which is where it went. And he read the lyrics, and Father John, he picked a paragraph, because that's maybe all he could find in the song that was appropriate. He read the paragraph, and then he goes, I don't know if I agree with all that. Like, he didn't even analyze the Justin Timberlake song. He just said, I don't know if I agree with that, and played the song. So he was like, it's
lost love and connecting with a woman.
Yeah,
it was just...
It's in the top 10, and I have to play it, because that's what my show is.
Yes.
I can't find too many spiritual connections here, but...
It was funny, it was random, and we were able to listen to it until we completely lost the signal.
Yeah.
But it was just funny. It's just one of those things that you can only get when you travel.
It was good.
Like, you'll never hear about it again, but it's Kansas City. It was like 103.1, I think is what it was.
The great part was that when we found the station, we were like, the top 10, that'll get us to the next part. And then he starts reading lyrics of the song. And so then Nick goes, I think he's just going to read the lyrics to all of the top 10 songs.
I just didn't think he owned the rights. I just thought it was some weird
the station just couldn't afford
to play these songs or something.
They couldn't pay the licensing fees, and they just had
so he's just going to read
the lyrics.
He went online and was like, and the also weird thing was he reminded us that it was the last Sunday of the month 4 times before he played a song.
And then as we moved on to another radio station, that DJ reminded us it was the last Sunday of the month.
So we don't know if in Kansas there's a thing where it's the last Sundays or the last certain days of a month are important, but they were really heavily featured in
Yeah.
our drive to
And don't
Colorado.
forget, everyone, it's the last Sunday of the month. Like, everyone wanted to make sure, I don't know if there's like a parade,
I know,
or
it's
maybe
a special
there's like
Kansas thing. That,
maybe all the local restaurants have discounts. I don't know. Something was going on.
it was
Don't
weird.
forget.
But as I think about what that priest was, I don't want to say priest, minister, father was
Father,
doing. I
sure,
don't know what
combination.
religion he was. He had to stretch to make it work. He clearly had a job to do, and he stretched. And for me, I think of professional development because it seems perfect in the analogy as I was listening to this. Sometimes I feel like people are forced to give professional development because they've been told to make this work, and they have to pull stuff from their local surrounding in their building, or if that's happened, they tell this whole long story, and they go, see, it's kind of sort of just like this, sort of. And it's not, and you're sitting in there in the audience going, this is terrible, this has nothing to do with this. You're obviously being told to teach us A, and you're using an example 5, which doesn't even relate to the alphabet. So I looked at that and I was like, oh, you're just trying to do what you have to do to make a point, and maybe you're kind of sort of there, but you're not. That's not what professional development's about. It's about meaningful conversations to grow as a professional. And what we did in Indiana, even these conversations that we're having at the pit stops are professional, and I think people are learning and growing. You could argue it's professional development, and the things that I've done for Simple K-12 and what they do, that's meaningful professional development. It's you going to learn something, spending the time learning it, and then sharing, growing, trying, moving on, and that's part of it. Not just randomly throwing things to a wall hoping it sticks, because Justin Timberlake's song is absolutely about loss, the past, and love, and the future, and where you're going to move on, and Imagine Dragons, and Sheryl Crow, and Avril Lavigne, and Robin Thicke, and Britney Spears, Ooh La La, and
Yeah, Brittany's got her new song. It's not very good.
it wasn't very good at all. Stink. And Christina Aguilera and Pitbull, and we heard an interview with Kesha, not by Father Mike, because that would have been awesome.
By Ryan Seacrest.
By Ryan Seacrest. Seacrest. Talking about how amazing her life is that she played at the Hollywood Bowl. So it puts her right up there with the Beatles, and then the Monty Python crew, and then Kesha. That's the Hollywood Bowl trilogy that really makes up the best winners.
They're actually tearing it down now. They're done.
They're done. Well, you burn it. You burn it to the ground.
But to jump back on professional development really quick, I think the thing we've noticed is that it doesn't often mimic what we know is best practice in our classroom, and that idea is usually back to the making it stretch. A lot of times the professional development is pushed down from the top. These topics need to be covered, and so that ends up taking up all your time, whereas what we've started doing a little bit in my building is we really have to see the needs and understanding you don't have to plan 10 months of professional development before the year gets started. Needs arise, needs pop up, just like we adjust our classes as learning needs to change for our children. We need the people doing the same thing for our professional development.
It's funny because he talked about the past in his radio show, and I've always been obsessed with the past, my 80s and 90s and 2000 upbringing, and one of the things I did as a shout out there was, hey, just tell us some of your favorite TV shows and past favorite video games, all that stuff, the past. Like, I was curious, like, what did people grow up with, what do they love? And really looking at what people really, really loved. Shout out there to Tiffany Whitehead, Librarian Tiff, for her complete collection of 90210 and what were the other ones? 90210, Barbie dolls, and this is embarrassing.
I can't remember what the other thing was,
but it was awesome.
Yeah.
New Kids on the Block.
Yes, right.
NKOTB. Complete set of Barbie dolls.
Made NKOTB Barbie dolls. But Tiffany Whitehead had them all.
She had them all.
Or still does, maybe.
She also had the funniest professional development title
Yes.
comment in regards to Tony Danza, which was an instantaneous bonus point, which proved that she listened to our last podcast.
Yes.
So Tiffany Whitehead is the winner of that contest. She got 1 full year of professional development from Simple K-12. So congrats to you, Tiff. You're a rock star. You're always funny. You did your own road trip with your friend.
Yes.
Throughout the West. Have been offering us great tips, so we appreciate that. But I got to see all these things in the past, and it got me thinking about how important the past is to who we are, even today, and as a teacher. How much reflection is needed to grow, and I think there was an underlying point there in Father Mike's whole thing, is that there needs to be an acknowledgement of the past to grow forward for the future. And I think as teachers, reflection is so important as a part of that. And I remember we talked about this in KC about how, and I talked about the keynote, how embarrassing I was as a first-year teacher, and I should probably write apology notes to all of the students that I had.
I think
for
we
being
all were.
terrible. Every
Every teacher I've ever talked to is like, I feel horrible at things I did when I first started because, you're figuring stuff out and got to move forward. But what I loved about what Father Mike said is that idea of remember the past. Because it's so often forget and move forward. But really, you need to acknowledge, you need to understand what you did to learn from to move forward. And see your mistakes, remember the things that were good, and you need the past to help shape where you're headed and to reflect upon and to improve.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the interesting point here as we kind of wrap this up. Is you reflect on the past, and I look at my life and the things that I've done, the things that I've loved, things that I'm passionate about, and I want to give a shout out to Will Wheaton. For those of you who don't know, Will Wheaton is the one of the stars of Star Trek Next Generation. He was Ensign Crusher. He was in Stand By Me. He does a lot of great stuff online.
He plays himself on Big Bang Theory.
He plays himself on Big Bang Theater.
Sheldon's arch nemesis, which
Sheldon's arch nemesis. He did this. He was at a Comic-Con in Calgary, and a future mom or new mom said, "Can you tell my future daughter or my daughter here, as she recorded this, why it's cool to be a nerd?" Google it, watch it, try not to cry. He gives this really heartwarming speech about being a nerd is just about finding the thing that you love and loving it with all of your might. And as I look at the teachers that I've met and I've seen on this trip so far, these are people that do that. These are people that love what they do with all of their might. And I'm going to be writing a post about it later in more detail, so you can probably find it there. But it's so true. Don't let people tell you that what you do is not good enough or not worth your time. We are very special and weird to love what we do as teachers, but there's tremendous value in that. And remember why we do it. What the things in our past life that makes us who we are today, I think is important. So I want to wrap up with that suggestion to all of you guys before we close out. Tim, any final thoughts or ideas from KC or the travel there?
No, I like to echo what you said, that idea of just find what you love and go forward. And to kind of look back at KC, the two biggest thing we got about the qualities they loved in a teacher was, the first one was that they cared about who they were personally, and the other one that came up a lot was they cared and loved their subject. And that's those two things. We love kids and we love what we teach, and if you go after those two things, with all your heart, you're going to be an exceptional teacher.
That's perfect. A great way to end. We're about to head off to dinner. I've heard Denver has really good oysters, so I'm looking to try some of those.
I almost missed it.
I don't know, Sharma. I didn't realize there were oyster farms around here. That's exciting. I like oysters. On the half shell, but I heard they don't serve them in the shells here, so I'm to be expecting that. So I'll have some oysters, some Rocky Mountain oysters, which again is weird. Didn't know they had oysters in the mountains, but I'm not a science teacher. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm not a science teacher, so
put on some John Denver and go get some oysters.
Maybe find a DQ and get a Coke.
If you're thirsty, just get a Coke.
Just get a Coke. By the way, we've been quoting to each other, waiting for Guffman the entire trip. So if you really want to live the life of an edubro on the Edutaur,
yes.
Rent. It's on Netflix.
Yes.
You can get it on Netflix. Waiting for Guffman. It's hilarious. You will love it. We promise. Send us quotes from it. Tweet us. Please tweet us. Please. We drive for 8.5 hour chunks of time.
Yeah, nobody will talk to us.
The more tweets, the better, please. We're so lonely. Pretty soon, if you don't, you're just going to get a bunch of passive-aggressive tweets from me to Tim or about Tim and vice versa.
Yeah, depending on who's driving.
So, thank you guys for taking the time. Look at us. Under 25 minutes.
That's impressive.
Maybe we should just leave a bunch of dead space at the end.
Just dead air. Just say, we'll get to street. Dead air, dead air, dead air.
But thanks again, everyone. We'll do another one of these very shortly. And thanks again. Spread the word. Hashtag Edutaur, edutaur2013.com. And thanks again, Simple K-12, for making this part of the trip possible. So we will see you on the road. Take care, everyone.
Bye.